Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a plant hanger. Ooh, kind of macrame, kind of just tying knots, but I wanted to make some more plant hangers. I've recently put up a tension bar in my bedroom window to give some of my higher light needs plants, like my Hoyas. I mean, I suppose they don't need it, but they like it, to give them some brighter spots instead of just kind of having them in the back of my flat where they're not getting enough light. But yeah, so I figured I would make some nice new macrame baskety plant hanger things to hang my plants up on that tension bar. Slight disclaimer, if this doesn't make 100% sense, it's because I have COVID. And I know a lot of you will say, Emma, why the heck are you filming a video while you have COVID? The answer is because I'm a workaholic and otherwise I'm just sitting at home bored. So I may as well do something fun, right? Also, I figured, last time I had COVID, I made a macrame plant hanger video and that one was doing super well. So why not do it again today? I don't have enough energy to actually take care of my plants, so I think tying some knots in a calm, relaxing manner will be more like my speed today. So yeah, it'll be fun. COVID craft time with Emma. If you don't know me already, my name is Emma and I make houseplanting content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanting journey and learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. Right, let's get making this beautiful thing. So first off, supplies. You will need a couple of supplies for this project. The most important is macrame string, cord. This is, I think, 3 or 4 millimeter cord, and I'm pretty sure I got it off Amazon. I will be sure to link it in the description, so if you want to get the exact same stuff I have, I like it. I think it's a good thickness. It allows you to do a lot with it, and it doesn't get too bulky. Scissors, of course, because you need to cut the string, and I like to use a bit of tape, and you can just use cello tape. This is, I think, packing tape. It's what I have. So it's what I will be using. And I'm pretty sure that's it, actually. You could get a sort of S-hook or something to hang it with. I don't have any S-hooks, so I just am gonna kind of makeshift hang it on my tension bar, maybe tie it around with a piece of string or something. Not that fancy. And I've got COVID, so I can't go out and buy S-hooks. I suppose I could order them. Nah, too lazy for that. Right. That's all the supplies you need. Let's make some knots. First step is you want to cut your cords. For this one, personally, did a wingspan of rope. 1 wingspan, and that is $1.60 meters. I don't know, you probably use about 2 meters for this. Also, this one is relatively short, this plant hanger. I don't want it to hang too low because the hanging plants that are in it, I don't want to be accessible to Cleo still. And another big feature of this one is that it doesn't have a tassel. A lot of macrame hangers have tassels on them, hanging off the bottom. I can't have that because Cleo will really properly go for it. And we can't have that happening. Oh, look, here she is. She wants to play with the string. Cleo! Not today. I'm actually gonna have to put her in another room because she can't be around this. Yeah, so I can't have that, otherwise Cleo will go for the string, and we don't need that. So, we will make a tassel-less one. So, like I said, about an arm span. I'm 5'9", if that makes sense, so it should be about 5'9". You could do 6 feet, you could do 2 meters, you could do longer if you really want to make a longer one. That is totally cool. It just depends on how long you want to make it. So I've got my point here, and what I like to do, especially with this cord, because this cord unravels fairly easily when you cut it, and we don't want frayed ends, at least now while we're making knots, because it makes it a lot harder to do. So I like to get a piece of tape and I like to wrap it around where I want to cut, and then I'll cut in the middle of that wrap, so both sides have this sort of little, I mean, it's an aglet, technically, that's what they call the things on the end of your shoelaces, but just have a little thing to secure it in place, and you'll cut that off later or you'll take it off. But it's a really good way to make sure that your macrame cord does not fray, because that is the most annoying thing when you're trying to do macrame. It gets too complicated and too tangled and messy, so let's avoid that if we can. So I'm just gonna go through and cut the rest of these. I'm gonna cut 5 at this length. So the final cord, the 6th cord, so after you've done those original 5 that are your wingspan, or my wingspan, you want to do one that has a little bit of extra on it as well. So I'm going to add probably 20 centimeters to the length of that one, just to make sure that it has some extra on there. And that is going to be used as like the middle of the middle bottom, what's going to hold all of the cords together. Does that make sense? I hope so. Now that you have all of your cords cut, find the 2 ends and you want to fold them in half, because these are going to be your working ends and this is how you're going to attach it to the middle of the bottom. So fold all of your cords in half and then we'll get started knotting. So there we go, we have our 5 short cords and 1 slightly longer cord, and we're actually going to start out with this one, the longest one, and we're going to make the loop for the middle of the bottom of the pot. So we're starting out with the loop, the middle bit of that cord, and we're going to make it into a like proper circle sort of thing. And to do so, we're going to tie a square knot, which is one of the easiest type of knots. It's just 2 overhand knots in opposite directions. So to do an overhand knot, you take one cord, you put it over the other. So I tend to do left over right, and then you put it through the loop. And then to make it a square knot instead of a granny knot, you want to then go the opposite way, take the same leading cord. So in this case, now my right, put it over the other one, and then through the loop. You'll get a knot that looks like this. If you accidentally go the wrong way, it's no problem. Your knot will just end up looking like this instead, which is a bit twisted. It's really easy to sort out. Just untie it and give it another go. Also, the size of the circle doesn't really matter right now. Don't worry about making it too tight. We can always tighten it a bit later once we have all of the other strings attached to it. So we have our ring, and now we're gonna tie a knot called a lark's head knot to connect all of these strands to the original ring. So in order to do that, you want to take the middle loop of the string that you've already found, and you want to put it over top of the ring, flip it under, and then feed the tails through the bottom. So you get something that looks like that. You've probably tied this knot before, even if you don't know it. It is a very, very common sort of hitch knot thing, and it's super easy, and you've probably done it before. So now we repeat that again with all of the other 4 cords until you have them all on your loop like this. Here, now, we're going to tighten this up to make sure it is nice and small, and it'll create the bottom middle of our plant hanger. So you basically loosen the original knot and just kind of pull it as tight as you can. So you will have a small hole in the middle. It's not going to go away completely, but it will be a lot smaller and you won't really notice it. So that is what we are working with on the bottom of our pot. Right now I have separated them all so they're all in their original lark's head knot, but now I'm going to switch up those pairs to start making the basket shape. So I'll take the right one from one side and the left one from another, and those two will be working together for the start. And I just continue that all the way around. So we have 6 new pairs of cords. So now these are going to be our new working pairs for the time being. So essentially you're going to be tying lots and lots of square knots. It's pretty simple. This is kind of like a 1 knot sort of hanger. So the first set I like to put fairly close to the original bottom, and I'll do it probably, what's that, 1.5 inches, 3 centimeters or so from the middle. And I'll just go left over right and kind of even it out so those are equal lengths, and then right over left. And just tie a nice little tiny knot there. And it's nice and even with there, and continue this all around. You want to make sure that they're fairly similar spacing from the middle. You don't want to make one really long and one really short, because then the basket won't be very even. If you do end up making one too long, you can always loosen the knot by pulling at the sides, getting the top one to be the right distance, and then tightening with the bottom. If you want a bit of a rhyme to remember which cord goes on top as you're tying the knots, here's one I learned when I was a Girl Scout, learning to tie my square knots. So the rhyme goes, right over left, left over right, makes a knot neat and tidy and tight. So I repeat that to myself every single time I tie one of these knots, because that is the only way I could remember it. And yet I still do it left over right. So in the end, you'll kind of have this flower shape looking thing, like this is the middle and these are all the little petals. From here, we want to change the working pairs again like we did in the beginning. And so you want to take the right side from one and the left side from another, and now those are going to be your working pairs. So do that again across the rest. Ooh, it kind of looks like a star now. That's fun. And then you're going to repeat the knot tying process again with your new pairs. And again, I'm going to go about 3 centimeters or 1.5 inches from the previous knot. This bit can get a little bit tricky just to make sure that they're even, but you can always loosen and retie the knots as needed to kind of make it even throughout. There we go, looks like a star. It looks like, you know that star Pokemon? That's what it is making me think of while I'm doing this. But it looks like that. And again, you repeat switching your working pairs. So these two would come together. These two, these two, these two, those two, and those two. And again, tie your square knots. You can see it's not laying as flat anymore because we're like kind of making a circular basket. You can see there I just tied it the wrong way, which is fine. You can just undo it and redo it again. So if you were using a 14 centimeter pot like I am for this, this should be enough knots, but if you want to use a bigger pot than this, you can carry on doing the switching the pairs, tying the knots sort of thing until you have enough to get up to basically the height of the pot. You see how that knot kind of ends at the edge of the pot? That's kind of the perfect height, in my opinion, for how high you want it to go to hang nicely on for your plant, like so it'll trail over nice if you're having trailing plants. Also, if you are doing it for a bigger pot than this, you'll want to be using longer amounts of cord. It's a bit of trial and error just to get it right. I kind of eyeball it at this point, which I know isn't very helpful for you, but do this with a 14 centimeter pot and you'll be fine. So now we're at the part which I actually find the most difficult. It is getting everything even at the top so it hangs nicely. So I've just put the planter down in the middle of the star kind of shape, and I'm just going to pull all of my cords up and try and get them as even as possible. So depending how long you want it to hang down, you can adjust this height, and again, if you're wanting it to be longer, you're gonna need more cord. I personally, like I said in the beginning, want it quite short, otherwise Cleo will have too much access to it. So I'm going to keep it as short as I possibly can. So I've gathered all of the strings, and I'm gonna try and center my hand. And personally, I've done it so 3 on this side are going this way over, and then the 3 coming up from here are going this way over, just to make it a little bit more even when I tie the knot. But I've looped them over my hand. I'm gonna take this and grab my hand out of it. And this is the loop that you're gonna use at the top of your plant hanger to hang the plant hanger from in the end. So I have my loops at the top that I want to secure together, and I've just got another piece of cord. I think this is probably just over a foot or like 20 to 30 centimeters, not very long. And I'm going to, with my hand holding these like this so my thumb is pointing at the loops, I'm going to take the end of the new cord and hold it down with my thumb, create a smaller loop so you can remember which one it is so it doesn't quite reach the end of these, and then start wrapping this free end around the entire thing. This is a little bit tricky at first, but once you've got it round once or twice, you can kind of adjust your hands to make it easier. So I'm only gonna go around twice because I don't want it to be a very thick knot. So I've got it round twice, and I'm going to take the loop that I've made originally and stick the end through that loop, and then pull the end that we were working with before. So this kind of makes a knot, but a knot that's hidden underneath the wrapping so you don't really notice it. And then you have your loops at the top. I like to then go through and shorten these loops because we don't need them that long. I don't want them that long. So I like to make them about a finger's size hole. So I will go through and I will then pull each of these so it tightens just around my finger. So there, now it is a lot smaller, which is what I wanted. So now you have a couple of options of what you can do with these ends of the rope. You could cut them quite short. I personally am going to keep them a little bit longer just because I don't mind how the tassel looks at the top. It's not really a tassel, it's kind of just like a fringe really in that case. So I'm going to cut all of these ends so they're the same length. You want to be very careful not to cut the sides of the basket as that will break your planter. So I'm going to cut all of these to be the same length. And this is where you're basically cutting off the tape from the bottom, so I wouldn't worry about taping them again unless you want it to really not fray, but I don't really like how the tape looks on like the actual finished piece. It's not really for the final, it's more just for while you're working. So now that all of those ends are at the same length, I'm personally going to go through and unravel these cords more so it looks even more like a bit of a fringe. You don't have to do this, you could just keep it how it is, but I just think it adds a little bit of extra texture to the plant hanger, which is a bit of fun. There we go. So I'm just combing this with my fingers to make it look a bit nicer. I think that looks really good. Also, you should trim off this tail from the top of the knot. I'm gonna trim that fairly close, but not too close to the knot. You won't really see it when it's hung up anyways, so there you go. Now let's put in our plant. So you could put it in with all of it hanging out of one side, but I think that looks kind of lopsided, so I personally like to pull a couple of vines through the different sections, just so it like kind of fills it out a little bit more and it's not like all just on one side. And then it won't smush the plant as much as well. There we go. What a freaking beauty. Look at that. Oh, I think that looks absolutely amazing. I'm so excited about that. Oh, that's just made my day a little bit better. But yeah, I just think it looks so freaking cute. It's like nice and minimal. It kind of gives me hot air balloon vibes. Don't know if that's just me being silly, but it does. And from there, you can just hang this up with an S-hook or with some string to whatever you're trying to hang it on. Or like a hook on the wall as well, that would work too. I personally don't have that, so we're gonna hang it on some string. Hang it where you want, and there you go. A beautiful, easy, very, very easy, like almost single knot plant hanger. So that is it. That is my plant hanger tutorial. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up down below. If you make this plant hanger, go ahead and tag me in a picture on Instagram because I would absolutely love to see it. And yeah, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Stay safe, friends, because COVID sucks. But yeah, have a great day and I will see you in the next one. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe right